Community Mental Health, the Director of Children and Family Services. I want to get that correct. We've talked with you in the past, and we want to welcome you back. How you doing, Keely?
I'm doing well this morning. Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this month in particular. It is Autism Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month, all wrapped up in April here, as we just get started, basically. And it's an opportunity when it comes to those particular subjects for a conversation that we're having today to make sure that we tell the audience, about various events and happenings that are taking place out there. There's some activities, but also in general, what the services that West Michigan CMH has, right?
Yes, yep. And it's a great month. Lots going on. Spring's happening. You'll see lots of blue around this month for both of those things.
And it's going to be great to see that, because then more people are aware of it. They recognize it. They want to contribute, even if it's, hey, reminding themselves or even sparking conversations that happen a lot too. Hey, I like that blue on you. Well, I'm wearing it for a reason, right? Is
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing too.
Yeah, and along with awareness, it's also about acceptance. So,
Mm.
the movement around autism acceptance that, we don't always have to understand. We can be aware and just accept people for their differences.
How important is that these days? Obviously, it has taken time, years, centuries, decades, I guess, in the sense, for us to understand a lot of the mental health out there, the different people that surround us that might look a little different than us or act a little different than us.
Yeah, everyone's brain functions differently, so it's just important to be aware and accept. And just over time, research has taught us a lot, and stigma has been reduced, and we're just fighting that fight over and over again with awareness and acceptance and prevention.
Let's break down the two topics that we are going to be chatting about today. We'll get into a lot of the services that you offer, but when it comes to autism, that is out there. What are even some of the myths, if you don't mind, or some of the stigmas that come to mind instantly when we talk about autism, and for us to understand better, and for us to be able to appreciate, I guess, too.
Yeah, I think what's important to know is that autism is a spectrum disorder. So, not every person with autism will look the same, right? And just like every person in the world doesn't look the same. So, symptoms range from severe symptoms to more mild symptoms. Functionality can differ between the spectrum. So, that's important for people to know too, that if someone has autism, it doesn't mean that. Um, they're not functional, or that they have some of the more severe symptoms like being nonverbal or struggling to communicate. There's many people in the world that have autism that function very normally and have just live very normal lives. So that's really important to recognize as well.
I think that's important because sometimes we put everybody in one basket. Oh, they have this, and so they must have these characteristics that come along with that.
Yep. Yep. So there's, like I said, it's just a spectrum, and there's many different ways that all diagnoses show up, right? Physical and mental health. So it's important to know that we're all unique and different in our own ways, and our brains all work differently.
Yeah, for sure. Same side of that, on the flip side of that coin, we were talking about Child Abuse Prevention Month that is also wrapped into this. And again, in a moment or two, we'll talk about some of the services that West Michigan CMH has to offer in regards to this. But that's extreme. Just like anything else out there when it comes to the family makeup that puts people in danger, that can isolate, can affect them not only internally in that family model, but also how they do in school, how they do in society. And we never want to hear about this stuff, but it does happen in big cities and small towns, and sometimes our next door neighbors, we hear about all of that stuff. So how important is it that we have that conversation about child abuse?
Yeah, it's really important to be aware and provide prevention. So, research and studies show that youth who have safe adults in their life are more likely to succeed in all areas of their life, right? So, and that doesn't necessarily have to be family. It could be a teacher, it could be a probation agent, it could be a CMH employee, it could be anybody that really provides that safe space for youth and children to grow and develop and thrive. So we want to wrap ourselves around our community and our people and just spend time making people aware of services that are available, prevention opportunities. I listed a few things for you, Chris, around community partners offering, car seat um,
Yeah.
events where they check your car seat. Just any the Sandcastles Children's Museum and the Great Start Collaborative do a lot of really cool prevention things where they do book walks or family days and just really trying to support and wrap themselves around safe and healthy families.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up a very good point just a moment ago that, and it's a very positive statistic. And I would assume there probably is a laundry list of other statistics that go along with it when you can be loved in a family environment, when you can avoid abuse of any kind, whether it be from parents or from siblings or from, from anybody, even at school, that extends into that environment. Let's talk a little bit about those services that CMH has, and break them down as well, that help in these two environments, not only from the autism awareness standpoint but also from the child abuse standpoint. You have outpatient therapy, so it's not necessarily that somebody has to go to CMH and their life is, I'll say, turned upside down, because now that part of it's on their plate to help them recover. Sometimes you can ease into this based on that environment. Is that a fair evaluation?
Yeah, so we have a range of services, Chris, and different what we call levels of care. So we range from just outpatient services, which could be just therapy, it could be therapy and peer support services, it could be therapy and medications. And then we step up services throughout the spectrum of, case management, which is a little bit extra support. We have intensive care coordination with wraparound services for youth, which is often for youth that have involvement with several child serving agencies. So maybe there's some involvement with foster care or juvenile probation or really heavy involvement with special education services in the school. And we try to wrap around that family and create family teams that can work together. Um, we then have our intensive home-based services, which all of our community-based services like case management do home visiting, but our
Mhm.
intensive home-based services specifically for youth are more contacts in a week. The therapy is in home versus in office. We offer, um, just really intensive services for hopefully a short period of time to stabilize a family and a youth, and then get them moved to lower level of care services where they're thriving and doing well.
Do you find, and I know I don't want to go too off topic, but we're in an environment of social media everywhere and that sort of influence. Does it make your counselors and staff, is it more difficult because there's so many outside influences, or influences in general, when you are able to connect with a client and say, okay, we're going to try to tackle this, and we're going to try to work with you on this. Does it make it difficult from day to day? Obviously everybody is different, but it is now different than 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, when you are providing these services.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we can use social media in our favor. There's lots of really positive things about social media. People become more educated, they learn more.
Mhm.
Um, it might actually bring something to the table that maybe we didn't think about or they wanted to explore more. So I don't necessarily see it as a barrier. I think along the lines of prevention, I think there's more need around monitoring what
Yeah.
youth are involved in online and things like that.
Yeah.
But not necessarily from a treatment standpoint. I've had therapy sessions where people have brought to me things they saw online or viewed, and we just talk about that. Let's have a conversation about why you think that might relate to you, or why you might have that diagnosis, or why that applies. And it actually sometimes can lead to really good conversation.
Mm, it's a good point there. You talked about outpatient therapy and case management. You work a lot with other agencies and such, and you have the clinic now, but you also work with the RN case management services, and then we get down to kind of our core topic, which is the autism services.
Mhm.
Take us through that. What is that all about with West Michigan CMH?
Yeah, so we offer autism benefit through our services, and that includes ABA, which you actually start out with eligibility determination. So we'll do a psychological evaluation to determine if you do in fact have an autism diagnosis, or if there's other diagnoses we're trying to rule out. And then from there, what happens is people will be diagnosed with a severity level that might qualify for what we call applied behavior analysis, which research shows early interventions have the best outcomes. So we like to treat and see youth that are, early stages of development, so 18 months and on usually, but it can range up to, 21. Um, and then from there, it's mostly center-based ABA services. So we have autism centers in all three of our counties that we serve. And then we also do some in-home ABA. So along with applied behavior analysis work, there's the family support and training aspect. So our BCBAs provide family support and training to the family unit that has a youth with autism to
Mhm.
help implement all those things we're doing in the center, right? If you can do it all day in the center, but if it's not completed in home too, to really reinforce those skills and those changes, the success is a lot higher. So that's why we love to provide that family support and training.
Is that something new for CMH, or when the services were added, was that some of that core foundation of it, knowing that, and I can only imagine, a parent finding out that their child has autism and how they need to figure out their own path for their
Sure.
child, and having that support model from CMH, obviously that structure helps out a lot. But has it always kind of been that core or focus, or is that fairly new?
Yeah, so family support and training is part of the ABA package. So there is behavior techs who implement the treatment recommendations of the BCBA. So they'll write a behavior treatment plan, the techs will implement that and run trials to try to improve skills, right? So, like for example, a communication skill, they're going to do things to reinforce communication and asking for what we need. Um, and hopefully get to the point where we can vocalize or say words. So that's one example. And then from there, the BCBA will monitor how those trials are going for a certain percentage of the time. So say somebody has 20 hours of tech services where they're doing trials, that 10% of that time will be monitored by a BCBA to make sure that that's to fidelity and they're doing what they need to do. And then from there, the family support and training is one-on-one with the family. And to your point, yes, we do offer family support and training in other services of our agency as well. So that's not specific to autism. We do want to support families with all diagnoses and all concerns that are happening. So, but it is a core part of ABA as well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You have other services that you provide. I mean, I know we talk about the 24/7, 365, crisis services, but CMH offers so much on the platter of when it comes to healthcare. Because, I read it somewhere the other day. It was Morgan's Message. It was in lacrosse. It was a student that committed suicide. She was
Mhm.
a lacrosse player, and her family has this Morgan's Message. And as part of that message, they wanted to make sure that mental awareness was as much or greater as physical out there. And that's where, when it comes to CMH, that it's so important to have all of these services that are available. And what are some of those other services that you offer?
Yeah, so we have our 24-hour 365 crisis services, which could include phone support. It could include mobile crisis services. We do have our behavioral health urgent care, which has a little bit different hours than the 24/7,
Yep.
but it is open on site. And I know you talked to Ellen recently about that. So that's a good video to watch. I enjoyed watching that because it really
Uh,
broke down the crisis services. So, but yeah, we do offer that we offer different hours of the behavioral health urgent care and then 24-hour crisis services by phone or mobile crisis, which could be anywhere in the community, right? So, I just think that's great. I've worked here for a very long time, and I think just the way the crisis continuum has expanded is just wonderful for the community. I do partner with some other community um, agencies around just like team meetings and multidisciplinary team meetings, and I hear from them how grateful they are to be able to refer people to, access crisis services when they need, which is great.
That's cool. Well, it's great to be able to see the benefits of what is put in from not only CMH but also your partners, because you have a lot out there that help work with you. And speaking of that, I mean, in Mason Lake and Oceana County, you have youth and family services, like you work with the school systems and the
Mhm.
juvenile courts you mentioned. Child protective services. How does all of these partnerships, from foster care, child advocacy, and other services. How does that work? Is it pretty seamless at this point, since there's been so many years put in to be able to help the youth and families out there?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing but great things to say about our community partners. I think we all try our best to communicate as much as we can. We're not always perfect at it, but it's definitely something we always want to strive towards as a CCBHC. We want to do good care coordination. So what that looks like is really just involving everyone in someone's care and making sure we're all on the same page. Um, our Bureau of Children's Coordinated Health Policy, which is B-CHIPS in the state world, recently started these clinical review teams. So essentially, if there's really challenging cases that we have or we're all working together on, they facilitate care coordination meetings, which is just really helpful to have that
Mhm.
additional perspective and expertise. But yeah, I think I looked it up recently, and we have around 30 different school buildings in our three counties,
Yeah.
which is, when you think about that, that's a lot. That's a lot of educators, that's a lot of principals, it's a lot of, superintendents. So we try really hard to just get everybody together on the same page. And same for, like, juvenile probation and MDHHS or foster care and CPS. Our child advocacy center in all of our counties run a multidisciplinary team, which is great, and it just brings everybody together to support. Um, yeah, so I think that's just really something we strive for.
I think that's pretty powerful. You had mentioned some events that are coming up. We'll talk about those here in a second, but I don't think I do justice to this segment if I don't ask you this: is in all the years that you've been doing this, do you see the reward moments for you and your team there? Do you see that there is success that comes out of it, that you have an aha moment? Oh my gosh, we did it. They did it. We did it together, sort of an idea there. Do those moments happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I actually just had this conversation with somebody yesterday about generational trauma and generational cycles, and when you see people really work to change that or heal from those things that maybe are not always their fault, but they're taking ownership and moving forward, that's just really powerful and keeps us motivated.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives me goosebumps. It's kind of cool to think about that. There are some events, and by the way, if you're just joining us, we're talking with Keeli Sholtey from West Michigan Community Mental Health this morning, talking about two parts of this conversation: the Autism Awareness Month that we're in now here in April, and as well Child Abuse Prevention Month, services and opportunities, I guess, for the awareness side of it, but also to help those that are going through this or affected by it, or have been struggling for years with it. It's not necessarily a start of the journey. You always like to be able to be there for that start of the journey, but you can also jump right in at any point and help people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always here. Open door. Please call. Please, reach out. I don't ever want anybody to feel like they we try really hard to break stigma and just be an open, welcoming place. And I know that's true for all of our community partners as well. I was thinking about this too as you were talking, Chris. I feel very thankful to be in a community that supports each other. I see that through many different partnerships, through different agencies. And I would just say, if it's not us, reach out to somebody and they can hopefully connect you to us. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be us
Mhm.
all of the time.
Well, and it's but you have been able to, the whole team there at CMH, been able to offer, and even I use the word perfect lightly because not everything is set in stone. You're always learning, you're always advancing, everybody's learning together. But to be able to offer services, especially uh, services that people have gone through things in life that have affected them, that they can say, you know what, I dealt with this. I'm going to help you deal with it. I think that's pretty powerful, and you surround yourself there at CMH with those kind of individuals, and that helps that journey, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you make a good point that we have several different staff here of every different level of, education experience. There's a ton of peer support here as well, which is, I think, invaluable. A peer that can have lived experience and wrap around your care and just say, "Hey, I've been there, and this is what's helped me." And sometimes it just feels different coming from someone who's had that experience versus someone else. So
Yeah.
I really just encourage somebody to come in and try different services that we have or have to offer because as a CCBHC, everyone that comes in is eligible. We have something for you.
Yeah, no, that's good. You and your team are going to be doing some rotating around out there at various events. You mentioned that the car seat safety check that's coming up at West Shore Family Support on the 8th. Do you want to talk about some of these events that you're going to be out at?
Yep. So, just a lot of our community partners shared through CAP Month, which is child abuse prevention, just things that they had going on. So I thought I would just throw that out there. West Shore Family Support has the car seat check on April 8th. The Child Advocacy Center is often offering a training called Stewards of Children. And it's really about how to recognize signs of child abuse and how to provide safety and safe environments for people. I've taken that training. It's really great.
Hmm.
That's on Thursday, April 9th from 5:30 to 7:30. I would reach out to them if you would like to attend. Um, and then Friday, April 10th, we're wearing blue for CAP month. And then today was the blue for autism awareness.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think that's all I had at this point.
No, I think that's great, and it's important that the different partners out there, different agencies, doing so much about that. So we'll make sure we promote that, through this week and next week for those various events, and make sure that that communication is out there. Uh, Sharing stories and identifying these, as you mentioned, especially when it comes to the abuse prevention month. Um, what what are we as a society? What do you want us to do so that we can help you and we can help those families? There has to be some red flags that pop up. There has to be some things that we can, just kind of keep our eyes peeled for when it comes to child abuse.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just awareness and being kind. And if you see something, say something, even if it's just, "Hey, is everything going okay?" You know, I've actually had that experience in public, and it's interesting how someone, just a caring outreach, if you see somebody upset or, even just an experience with a parent and a kid where things seem like escalated, just checking in
Hmm.
if you feel comfortable doing so, and just offering "Hey, there's help out there," or "Here's some resources we know of." And I don't want people to do this alone, right? Parenting is very hard. It's the hardest job I've ever done in my life, and I think a lot of people will say that. So, I would just say reach out for help, and you shouldn't have to do it alone or by yourself.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. And I think if somebody has concerns, they can pick up the phone and dial the 800 number, 800-992-2061. It's not just there from a standpoint of, hey, I need help. It's also there as, I think that, maybe I have some concerns about something that's happening, with the neighbor or with a friend, or they can provide some guidance to connect the dots, right?
Yeah, sure. If anybody, I used to work in our access department, and people would call at times, with just questions. I'm not really sure what to do with this. Here's my situation. And if we don't know, we'll hopefully try to find the answer for you. But we do, we're in the social work world, right? So we know, the resources that are out there, and if you're not in this world, you might not always know that. So I think it's important just to reach out if you have questions, and we'll try our best to direct you. If it's not us, it might be somebody else, and direct you in the right direction.
Yeah, no, it's very important. Last question I have, or as we get closer to wrapping up, we bounce back and forth between Autism Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month. Um, for those that are around us that have autism, what's something that we can do that we can, it can resonate from our conversation today for them out there that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think just acceptance and celebrating differences. It's having that non-judgmental stance and just very, openness to everyone has differences and that's okay. And just that acceptance and sharing that with other people, and modeling that for others so that we can have a world that's accepting.
Yeah, very good advice there. Keely, I put you on the hot seat for a moment or two there, but you covered everything perfectly. So we appreciate you and the team there. And I look at it as knowledge. You and everybody at CMH, you know what you're doing, and you're surrounded by others that may have a little more expertise in this area and that area, and that helps out the core principle, core foundation, which is helping out those within our communities in Lake Mason and Oceana County, and you do it each and every day. So we want to thank you for that, and thank you for being a part of the conversation today as well.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Chris. I really appreciate this segment, and it's great to share this stuff with the community.
Yeah, thank you. It is 102.7 Mom FM and Hot Country Hits 99.9. And we say it all the time, but if you missed any part of this segment, you can always watch it right there on our WMOM and our Hot Country Hits Facebook pages. Also, our YouTube channel, WMOM. Just search for that and hit the subscribe button. And we love connecting with CMH. We do it on a monthly basis. But you know what? If you have questions or thoughts or concerns or need some guidance out there, or if you're struggling yourself with things and it's just a question or how to get things started, that 800 phone line is available 24/7, and it's 800-992-2061, and they are there to help. So Keely, thanks again for being a part of the conversation.